Chairman of Smadja and Smadja, B.V. Naidu, the Chairman of Karnataka Digital Economic Mission, and Dr. Satheesh Reddy, former Secretary of the Department of Defense, former Chairman of the Defense Research and Development Organization, and I will let Claude dive a little further into both their bios and their perspectives and their views. Gentlemen, may I invite you on stage?
Thank you. Thank you very much. And first of all, I would like to thank B.V. Naidu, and I would like to thank Mr. Satheesh Reddy for taking the time to join us tonight and to share some thoughts on what is happening in terms of innovation at an inflection time for India. I think I don't need too many words to introduce B.V. Naidu because he is quite a high-profile personality in Karnataka and beyond Karnataka. But let me mention that B.V. has been really, in addition to being the chairman of the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission, has been really a driving force for India's entrepreneurial and investment landscapes. When I say that B.V. is a serial entrepreneur, I think I would have to spend a lot of time if I were to mention and describe all the ventures and activities in which he has been involved. But suffice to say that you are today also involved in a number of venture capital and startups activities. Now, I would like to turn to you, Dr. Satheesh Reddy. You have been the former chairman, you are the former chairman of DRDO, which, as you know, is the research organization of Indian Defense Forces. You have been the Secretary of the Department of Defense R&D. You have been a scientific advisor to Raksha Mantri, and you have been, during your very rich career, at the forefront, I would say at the leading edge of technological innovation in the domains of defense and security. You have played a pivotal role in strengthening India's strategic capabilities in terms of defense and security. And now you are acting as the advisor in aerospace and defense manufacturing for the government of Andhra Pradesh. And so we have with both of you very, very relevant interlocutor to address some questions which have been already at the core of our discussion today and that we will continue tomorrow, because we are really focusing today at the development of AI capabilities and their implication. And let me start with you, Dr. Reddy, because you have been, as I mentioned, at the forefront of the development of indigenous defense technologies. how do you see AI transforming India's strategic capabilities and the kind of role, the kind of place that India can play in that domain at the global level? So please.
Thank you, Mr. Claude. And firstly, let me thank Mr. B.V. Naidu for giving me this opportunity to be amongst you here and interact with you. And I heard about all the great things Mr. B.V. Naidu has been going through in his life and shaping the Karnataka's digital economy mission, and related to that, various activities of innovation and connected to that. I also thank Mr. Claude for taking initiative and working in Indian subcontinent and India particularly for a long period of his life, working with various organizations, various governments. In fact, he was just mentioning, he knows Mr. Chandrababu Naidu, also very personally interacted with him and a lot. So happy to interact with you and take forward your mission in various states of the country and as a nation of India particularly. Before I start, anyway, the question is related to something connected to the strategic elements of the country and indigenous technologies. As I'm starting, I'd like to congratulate the leadership of the country and the armed forces for the specific actions, very victorious actions with the technologies, advanced technologies, what has been demonstrated in the Operation Sindoor. This is the first conflict where India fought with majority of the indigenous technologies developed here, most of them very advanced. In fact, an element of AI also has been incorporated in the network-centric warfare, what has been demonstrated in the war. The Akash Tir, the IACCS, in the integrated air command control system, had an element of AI also. And there have been many advanced technologies, either drones, drone-based precision-guided munitions, or the anti-drone technologies, or the air defense technologies which India has demonstrated, had many advanced technologies of thermal imaging, air seeking, radio frequency related things, communications, or electronic warfare, all that have been demonstrated in the recent Operation Sindoor. Now with this, the country is poised, as you see the war anywhere, or see the defense and aerospace or security technologies are trying to be more and more advanced. In fact, we were discussing, now that the country's capabilities are known to the adversaries, the country has to come out with many advanced technologies. And defense has been leading that. And I say one statement here, in the coming couple of years, every system which comes out, right from subsystem to system, will be AI-based system. If you are not using AI in that, the country will be seen as little lagging in the technologies with respect to this. So every system what is going to come will be AI-based. In fact, our visionary Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, almost about 40 years back, he thought about this. 40 years back in Bangalore, a laboratory has been established for artificial intelligence that is called CAIR, C-A-I-R, Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. It was established in the 80s, 1980s. That was the vision of Dr. Kalam. So today, when we look at it, in most of our systems, as the systems are transforming from man to unmanned, And majority of the systems are going to be unmanned, right from drones or UAVs or even the aircrafts or the other vehicles or unmanned ground vehicles, unmanned underwater vehicles or unmanned surface vehicles. They're all coming out with unmanned features of navigation, guidance, surveillance or even offensive operations. These are all built upon AI. As I said, I'm just confining in the first question to only to the defense segment or security segment or aerospace segment. These are all going to be AI driven. When I was the chairman DRDO, in each and every laboratory of DRDO, we have formed and initiated a division for artificial intelligence. The job of it is to build AI into each and every subsystem and technology onto the system. So as I said, the next, in the warfare across the globe, the AI is going to play a major role. All the systems will be AI based. This is what I like to say.
Thank you. In fact, Dr. Reddy, I think it is important to mention that during your time at DRDO, you were at the forefront of the development of India's missiles capabilities. And at that time, the role of DRDO was quasi a monopoly role because it was almost the only source of innovation in this very specific domain. Today, we see a number of startups which are becoming extremely active, extremely innovative in the domain of critical systems. And so I think, given your domain of activity, BV, how do you look at the development of the activities of this startup, and what is their impact compared to the kind of development which was before one sources and today is in a way multiple sources? So please, BV.
Yeah. Firstly, let me say one thing. India is going through an evolutionary phase in the innovations and in the startups. I'll give you a couple of statistics. In the year 2016, this nation had 458 startups. And today, the number is 1,62,000 is the number of startups. 1,62,000 is an enormous change. Where is 458 and where is 1,62,000? There is one change what I see. India has emerged as the third largest startup ecosystem in the world now. In fact, we have more than 100 unicorns in the country and they are emerging. Thirdly, there are a large number of these startups have entered into the defense and aerospace segment. I say that today we have about few thousands of startups which are working in defense and aerospace sector. Few thousands. And I like to say, in fact, the war what we had now, Operation Sindoor, I am again referring to that, the complete drone segment related activity of India, more or less, has been only from the startups of this country. The complete drone ecosystem is from the startups of this country. That is how it has been. Now coming to the measures what Government of India has taken, we have taken a number of measures to promote the startups and also to acquire the technologies which are emerging from the startups and innovations. There are two schemes primarily I like to mention here, leaving aside all others. First system is, there is a mechanism which has come out is IDEX. That is to promote innovations majorly from the startups. This system has been promoting in such a way that they fund even up to 20 crore rupees to each startup on a sharing basis. Meaning the startup also has to invest and IDEX also invest. There are approximately about 500 startups which have been funded through this scheme now. There are approximately about 500 startups. And then, in the defense acquisition procedure, mechanisms have been brought where these innovations which are funded by the IDEX, as soon as the product is realized, they will be inducted into the armed forces directly. Right now, the valuation of those acquisitions which are planned, which are going through and which are planned are about 2,300 crores from these startups, which are going up in a big way.
But BV, yeah, I would like you to add your own perspective as an entrepreneur and an investor.
I think Dr. Reddy has mentioned that the startups do have a major role to play in all the strategic applications. Till recently, not much has happened for the the companies who are working in a high technology to showcase their capability in the strategic and defense applications. Because the DRDO kind of an organizations are the very large R&D organizations. They do need the support of the startups and their capability for bringing the agility and also accelerating the implementation of the programs. That way, I think whatever the examples he has mentioned, IDEX is a fantastic program, is taken up very well in our country. A lot of startups are getting funded by that. I had one portfolio company which has been working on some of the defense applications. Not just that, these companies, I was told the government has given 2,400 crores of defense orders for the startups. First time in the country that has happened, right? And my only thing is, I wanted to ask Dr. Reddy if you are okay. You have been working under the Dr. Kalam, a missile man, and who created the roadmap for the missile capability to make our country Atmanirbhar, and which has been showcased during the Operation Sindoor. I wanted to ask you, we heard about these BrahMos, which has been successfully utilized, anti-drones and other missiles, which I do not have the thing. When you planned this missile journey or development of the missiles in the DRDO, have you thought through that, the India could achieve this capability, number one, what we demonstrated. Number two, the kind of anti-drone capability that India has, is it as equivalent as what you find with Israel, or what is that Ukraine guys have used recently, a drone attack?
Thank you, Mr. Naidu. One thing is, you asked about missile. So again, I have to mention about our guru, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. He is the one who started, father of the missile program, who started the missile program with a program called Integrated Guided Missiles Development Program, where simultaneously 5 missiles development he has taken up. That is Prithvi, Agni, Akash, Trishul and Nag. I am very lucky as an young engineer, joined the program, worked in all these missiles and seen that they are all going through the various phases and then they have developed. In fact, we are all very confident that we can develop this and they will be inducted. Why I am saying is, in the year 1988, the first missile of this country, Prithvi, was flight tested from Sriharikota. Very first mission was very, very, very successful. The very second missile which was tested was Agni in the 1989 from IDR Balasore, Orissa. That was also successful. Having seen this success, we were all very sure that country will go through these phases and we will be able to develop all these things. Now today, I'll tell you one thing, this country, India, is completely self-reliant in the areas of missiles, having all the technologies developed and with an indigenous content of more than 90% of each and every missile. Today, that is the capability what India has got. And today, the systems what we are developing are also most advanced, on par with any other advanced nation today, any missile. In fact, I like to mention here very specifically, even in the area of hypersonics, we are in the advanced stage of development of the hypersonic engine. You must have seen in the newspapers just about 15 days back, we could actually test a 1000 seconds of the engine firing of the hypersonics. You say that it is the most advanced like Russia or America or China. So we stand there. So we are in the first 3, 4, 5 countries in these technologies. That's number one. The second question what you asked about is the drones.
Anti-drone.
The drone and anti-drone technology. Anti-drone technologies have been primarily developed between Bengaluru and Hyderabad. Most advanced technology. Probably India is one of the first 2, 3 countries which has come out with the advanced anti-drone technology. There are multiple technologies, both soft kill and hard kill technologies have been developed, which have been utilized. I don't want to get into the details of that technology, but I definitely mention that both the multiple varieties of soft kill, both the multiple varieties of hard kill. Soft kill means where you are not causing any physical destruction, you are only using radio frequencies or other mechanisms, jamming and other mechanisms is one thing what is soft kill. Hard kill is one where you actually make a physical damage, whether using lasers or electromagnetics or other types of technologies and all that. Both have been, multiple technologies have been developed by various startups and industries here, which have been very effectively used. I want to tell you one thing. This contactless warfare, what has happened? Or the air warfare, what has happened? More like leaving aside a small drone coming and hitting a household or something like that. There is nothing which has come into our territory which have not brought down. All the vehicles, whether it is drone, UAVs or the missiles which have come to this territory, they have all been brought down. So the country has shown a capability more like whatever we say iron domes or other things and things like that. That sort of a capability, particularly in the anti-drone, have been brought down with most advanced technologies which have been used. That's it.
BV, I would like to turn to you because you have, as you know, now a government which is more and more asserting the need for tech sovereignty. And of course, when you do that, you are in a way competing with big giants like the US, China, to a lesser extent, but nevertheless Europe. What kind of partnerships between the private sector and the public sector could help accelerate the indigenization of the technology, especially in the domain of defense? If you could give us one or two examples or 2 points where you would see what would be the most impactful elements.
I think tech sovereignty is a, great word that we all need to remember. And that's what, our Prime Minister also speaks about self-reliance and Atmanirbhan, etc. But if you look at, people, we heard, I think in the last, last month or so, one of the ministers saying that not many deep tech companies are there in India working for a high deep technology. I wanted to tell all of you that there are a lot of deep technology companies are there, but not many funds are there who are supporting the deep tech. So, number one, what is needed is more and more venture funds coming and investing into the deep technology. That is what is needed. Number two, government comes out with a lot of programs, right? Whether the DRDO, Defense Research Labs or IASC, and DST has a fantastic program called, the Cyber Physical Systems Program, where they funded 4,000 crores, in the next 5 years is being funded for a robotics and artificial intelligence lab in IASC. But all this investment and all the labs would make sense only when there are some entrepreneurs who are making use of that and creating an innovation economy. That is a must. So since you asked a few examples, I was just talking to one of the young entrepreneur in Bangalore. That guy has given a proposal to one of the 10,000 crore conglomerate in India for creating a SDLC motor, controller, right? And he has given a price. And that 10,000 crore conglomerate wanted to import something from China when there is a local capability here. My question is, these are all the large enterprises also should remember, should realize that this is the time for them to support the local entrepreneurship. The only reason why China may be little cheaper than the Indian company because of the kind of volumes what they produce. We do not have those volumes, but we started our journey. But this is the time that the government and the corporates should come together and support the startups so that the volumes will increase. Thereby, from the price point of view also, we will become competitive. And the third is, the journey what has started through in IDEX in the defense, I think that's going to be a great journey for next, 1 decade in India. And this is the, IDEX can prove that our companies in India, with our own technology, with our own IPs, then compete with anybody in the world. So, even though the entrepreneurs start something locally, but they always need to keep that, the global market in their back of their mind. So that is how our journey could lead to a country's tech sovereignty.
Thank you.
I like to mention, just add to it. I just want to say not only IDEX, there is one more scheme in the defense called TDF, that is called Technology Development Funding, which actually innovation in technology development. It funds, and unimaginably you can't imagine each startup can be funded up to 50 crore rupees in that. 90% of the funding comes from the government. So this is also one more scheme where about 79 startups / MSMEs have been taken this fund and utilized this fund.
Absolutely.
Please.
Let me ask you a follow-up question because, of course, we are here in Bangalore. We know about the innovative capabilities which have been developed in Karnataka, which is really, I would say, a leading innovation state in India. So, when you look at it from your perspective as a man involved in the defense, security, technology industry, how do you look at the way to disseminate the knowledge and capabilities for innovation beyond the big metro hubs?
It's a good question actually. This is where actually Government of India is also thinking how this ecosystem can be expanded into the Tier 2 cities and Tier 3 cities also. A lot of work is going on in this. You example take the AI mission and quantum mission, trying to see that it is going into the Tier 2, Tier 3 cities, primarily through academic institutes and also some of the innovation hubs which have come up across the country. Take the example of IITs. Today, IITs and IISers, which have come into the various states, which were earlier 5, now there are more, like in every state there is an IIT. Number of states, even IISer, which is called Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, have come. They are all actually going into various, the Tier 2 cities or towns in the various states. This is number one. And these all institutes are being funded by the various missions, whether it is quantum mission or whether AI mission or many other missions which have been taken up. So they are all expanding. Coming to the state of even Karnataka, you asked the question starting with Karnataka. Karnataka is now looking at the overall state development, at least looking at 4 centers. Bangalore, anyway developed and growing. Mysore is another important center which is coming up here in various activities, electronics, healthcare and all that. Then third, you have an important center which is coming as in Belgaum, Hubli, Dharwad. You have an IIT there in Hubli, Dharwad. Belgaum has come out with much more industries. They have become the global supply chain. Belgaum has become a global supply chain, primarily in the aerospace and defense sector. And then the fourth one being Mangalore is the another area. So likewise, the overall country is looking at multiple centers at various places. Look at Andhra Pradesh. The Chandrababu Naidu, who is a man who is with a lot of dynamism, looking at most advanced technologies, started the Quantum Valley. So there is a place in Vishakhapatnam, Vijayawada, Tirupati, and looking at Kurnool. There are 4 places, 4 hubs are coming up in the defense and aerospace sector. So this is how the country is looking at a distributed system of development than conglomerating everything in one metro city. This is the, as such there are other issues connected to it. So technologies, industry development spread across the country, spread across the state is what the nation is looking at today.
Let me supplement. This is something which is very close to my heart. You know, that is the reason we coined this word called Beyond Bangalore. It is not just Bangalore. There is all of you must be knowing about this. We have been working, my team, Sanjeev and other team members are working. How do you make sure that that economy that is growing in Bangalore, not just limited to Bangalore, we should also try and spread this economy to the other places. We have several programs. All of you should, probably make a visit to one of these clusters. Like he mentioned, he became our spokesman, thank you. Either Mysore, Mangalore, Hubli, Belgaum, you go to those places and spend a day there. Then only you get a feel what is happening in those places. Just to give you a perspective, last 1.5 years, there are 58 companies have gone to all these locations, and there are 600 startups are there in all these clusters. And government of Karnataka has this program called Elevate program. More than 40% of the companies got selected in the Elevate or from those regions. So what it means, there is a talent available there. If you take the industry to those locations, then the economy would grow in those places, and also the pressure on Bangalore will come down. So the journey has started, it is happening. So I request all of you to go and experience and go and see what is happening in those places.
I think we are getting to the limit of the time that we had, but I have one question I would like to ask both of you to answer. We have in this room quite a number of startup founders. We have quite a number of VCs, executive, people from family offices, people who are funding innovation. And so, what kind of advice would both of you give to these young entrepreneurs, innovative, dynamic people exploring the frontiers of disruptive technologies to make sure that we are leveraging these technologies for the common good?
Okay.
Who wants to start?
Very good question. And I also have very strong views on this. First thing is, for the startups, and then the same thing I tell about the various funds and investments. Both for the individual or the startup or for nation's sake. Today in India, we should not be afraid of taking risks. We should actually take it as a challenge. Every risk is a challenge, and if you come out of that, you are going to be excelling in a big way, and the country excels. So, don't be afraid of taking a deep tech problem, working on that. Try to be seeing that the innovation what you come out is a unique global innovation. Unique global innovation. That is how you will flourish and the country flourish. Second, I think Mr. P.V. Naidu mentioned, I am very clearly mentioning, today the problem for the deep tech startups in this country is funding. Particularly the private funding which happens in the country, most of the AIFs and others, they are little scary of funding the deep tech companies in the early stages. See, once they grow, you don't have to fund it, multiple people will fund. At the early stage, see the potential, identify the capability, and then don't be afraid. You please fund at the early stages of deep tech. These are the two advices what I wanted to give, both for the startup people, founders, and also for the people who are going to fund. This is the only way this country is going to be completely sovereign, and completely we are going to be independent of any other technologies, and we are going to be real Viksit Bharat. So, jump into the risks and challenges, and that only will make you flourish.
PV?
Yeah. So I always tell this to the people. If you are starting your entrepreneurial journey or started already, think big. Don't limit yourself in thinking big. But when you start your journey, act local. Act local, play global. That is the phenomena, you become successful. India is a land of opportunities right now. The reason we know, that we are the third largest startup economy in the world with so many companies, we talked about 160,000 startups are there, and we have 120 or 130 unicorns, and there are 400 unicorns are there, and Bangalore itself has more than 55 unicorns like that. So there is an opportunity. What an entrepreneur should remember is that he need to start somewhere, prove himself, then think big globally. There is a huge opportunity for the people to, compete globally and become a self-reliant for our country. Second, the funding, most of the time, in a good entrepreneur, always get funding. Don't think that there is no fund available. Funds are available. Funds are available for good entrepreneurs, for good opportunity, and as long as the founders have the capability to scale up that opportunity, the funds are available. And the governments have become proactive. Not just the government of state governments, but the government of India, state governments, every government is very, very proactive in supporting the startups. And this is the time for all the startups to perform and make use of this time, make use of this opportunity.
Thank you so much to both of you. I think this conversation was quite a fitting and very useful conclusion for these first days of discussion at IGIC 2025. So I would like both of you to join me for a round of applause to our two speakers. Thank you so much. And please enjoy the continuation of your dinner.